Hey, what's up? My name is Cross Beatbox, and today I'm gonna try to teach you the inward bass. Now, this is a sound I probably should have made a tutorial on quite a while ago because it's like my main sound, and the reason I haven't done this yet is because it's hard for me to explain, which is, I don't know, it sounds weird coming from me because I have, I'd say, a pretty good mastery over it, but I can't explain it to people that well, and I think that's mainly because when I first learned it, I learned it almost immediately, which just kind of a lucky flip of the coin for me, I think. But I first learned it off the 80Fits YouTube tutorial, which is pretty good. I'd recommend it because obviously it helped me. And how he explained it is kind of how I'm going to explain it, but I'm also going to go into detail about further techniques on how to use inward bass and improve it and get variation with it and practice it and whatnot. So first off, I think the most straightforward way to start to understand how inward bass works is, now inward bass, when you breathe in, you have to breathe in very heavy and take in a lot of air, and it's kind of the rumble that taking in air produces from, I guess, your false folds just like flapping against the air. So if you breathe in very heavy, almost like you're gasping for air, like I mean, with me it just kind of naturally goes into it, but I'm sure you kind of understand what I mean. Like sometimes you'll just, like you just went for a sprint or something, and you'll be gasping for air, and your kind of throat will just like catch a little bit, and it feels like you have a frog in your throat or something. And also, if you're doing this, it's very easy to swallow your own spit or breathe it in. So yeah, I guess be careful for that. But so if you breathe in very heavy, eventually you'll start to notice a little bit of just a very rough, coarse kind of rumble, I guess. So like, and that essentially is exactly what inward bass is. Now, when I try to teach people this, a lot of people immediately like over tighten their vocal cords and they start going like, they start doing that. That's not what you want to do. It's a lot looser than that, and you're inhaling a lot more than that. So if you start doing that, just veer away from that, start trying something else, because that's not how you do it at all. I mean, that is a certain type of inward bass, I guess, inward vocal fry. You could call it inward bass, but it's not what you're trying to learn if you clicked on this video. So now, practicing that, I guess another way I've heard it explained is, which sounds pretty good to me, is like, so outward chest bass, which is basically just a very deep kind of growl vocalization by breathing outwards, like it's basically almost that exact same positioning but breathing inwards. And a good way to kind of force yourself to understand how that works is just going now my friend explained it to me like just saying raw, like R-A-W, I guess, raw inward, so like and I mean I can't show you that well because whenever I try to do it, my vocal cords just go right into inward bass and I can't control it that well. But that's another pretty good way I would explain how to do it. And this is kind of a crappy tutorial, but like I said, I have trouble explaining the sound actually. But what I can go into detail more is some of the other techniques that I've learned for inward bass. Now, assuming you kind of know how to do inward bass already, so regular inward bass, I would say, is just like that's just regular, unaltered, just standard inward bass. Now, a lot of the times when I use inward bass, I do a certain kind of vocalization, and I've actually had people in my comment section explain this better than I probably could, but it's like a very low inward vocalization, barely almost. It's not like normally when people talk about inward vocalized bass, they're talking about high pitched, like they're talking about stuff like that, and that's not what I mean here, even though it can be used to do that as well. So if you add a bit like a I guess kind of like that, it's almost not noticeable and you can't really hear it with the overtone for the inward bass, but if you kind of mix that in, you can make it cleaner and you can make the vibration more pronounced. So it goes from like to like see I mean, maybe you can hear it with this microphone, I don't know, but the differences in the tones kind of, it almost separates it more, I guess, makes it more distinguishable. So like is regular, and then if you mix a little bit of vocalization with it, it's like, and this can really, I guess, amplify the power and the clarity of your inward bass. And it's, of course, it's easier said than done. I've been doing inward bass for probably like, I don't know, like 4 or 5 years, something like that. I've been doing it for quite a while, and I almost exclusively do this sound as well. And so with that helping your inward bass texture, there's a tongue positioning that a lot of people are starting to understand now, and I know that B-Art actually kind of explains a trick like this in his tutorial. Now, if you put your tongue in an L position, like you're about to pronounce the letter L, like L, and you just hold your tongue there, so it's kind of touching the top of your mouth, or however you hold it. Now, if you do inward bass with that tongue position, it kind of deepens it and makes it sound, I guess, a little more monstrous or something. So like regular inward bass would sound like, but with the tongue positioning, it sounds like, and that can really alter the sound quite a bit. And I'd say that's probably the biggest step to getting like more evil sounding inward bass, which is why a lot of people learn the sound, because I mean, I'm gonna be honest, it's a lot of fun to do it. That's why I do it all the time. Now, with that, now there's a really low type of inward bass that I mostly see Vocoder use, and I kind of use it, and it's kind of self-explanatory, but kind of not. It's using the L tongue positioning that I previously just explained. So like, and then you push the vibration down as much as you can, and it helps if you kind of, I guess, use your tongue and push it against your teeth or wherever in your mouth that it's pressing against, and you push it back against your throat, which sounds really weird. I don't know if you necessarily understand what I'm saying, but it kind of just, you use your tongue to push your throat back, and it pressurizes it more, which I guess cleans the vibration, and you can then push it lower. If, like, it takes a lot of practice, and it's probably just going to sound really messy at first, like it's probably just going to sound disgusting at first, but if you practice it enough, you can really push the vibration down lower in your throat, and that produces like a really deep sounding, like, and that's like, I mean, that's one of the more popular tricks with inward bass. I would say it's one of the better sounding ones. Now, some other ones I've learned is like the trick I just mentioned of using your tongue, pushing it against your teeth and pushing it against your throat, is that also works for high-pitched inward bass as well. And for me, I found at least that it makes it a lot smoother, because whenever I try practicing high-pitched inward bass before, like, it kind of just like, it would just like strip my vocal cords, and I would just cough my lung out for like 30 minutes, and then I wouldn't want to practice it again. But if you use the trick where you push your tongue against the back of your throat, it forces it into working, kind of, I guess. It's not a super good explanation, but it makes it smoother. So I guess an example would be like, I guess without using the trick, it would look more like, and using the trick, it can pronounce it more, so like, and it also makes it easier to sustain really high notes without it just like feeling like it just eats a hole in your vocal cords. So yeah, I guess I'll probably end the tutorial here. Yeah, kind of a scruffed video. I don't have any like editing equipment. I just record on my phone and post it right to YouTube. So if this tutorial helped, then I guess like and subscribe and all that typical bullshit, but I don't really care too much. I just do this for fun. So hopefully you got the inward bass. I will say that if you want to have a really clean inward bass, and yeah, if you want your inward bass to be really good, you kind of have to focus on it all the time. Like, bass is one of those sounds that doesn't really have a cap for how good it can get if you keep practicing it. So the more you practice it, the better it gets, and that's why you see beatboxers like Vokoda or Audicle. He used to be really good at inward bass, probably the best at his time, but now he's like insane, and that's because he only practices inward bass. And that's the only tip. If you want to get better at inward bass and you already know inward bass, practice is the only thing I can tell you, because yeah, just practice. Alright, well, I guess I'll end the video here. Hope it helped. Have a good day.